I love it.
Yeah.
Three-headed dragon, is that just offense, defense, special teams?
I'm not quite sure, but I'll tell you this much, Micah Parsons, you're about to feel great. If you like when people count you out and say you got no shot, I hope he's watching right now. They're playing a juggernaut. The San Francisco 49ers, if they had an elite quarterback, would be in the discussion for the best team we've ever seen.
Wow.
And I understand.
What?
If the San Francisco 49ers had a great quarterback, this year's team would be in the discussion as one of the all-time greatest teams.
They got to get a little further, and I think they will.
Right, of course.
Of
course. I'm talking about talent and what they would be. So what they've done over the last 3 months, I think, has been underrated. So the last 3 months, since the Chiefs went to San Francisco and put it on them, it's not only that they haven't lost, and they have annihilated their opposition. They are winning by an average of 3 scores. They have 8 double-digit wins. They are averaging more than 2 takeaways per game. And the reason they can do that is because they are the only team in the league, no one else is even close, that has a first-team All-Pro in every positional meeting. On the D-line, Nicky Bosa's there. And by the way, so are Eric Armstead and Javon Kinlaw. Right. Linebacker room. You've got Fred Warner, the best in the league, along with Dre Greenlaw, who's awesome. Defensive backs room, the best safety in the league. Hufanga. Offensive line room, the best tackle in the league. Running backs room, arguably the best running back. Tight ends room, second best tight end. And wide receiver room, one of the best in Deebo Samuel. That is every single room you go into. You have one of, if not the best in the league. And by the way, they don't have first-team All-Pro coaches, but they do have Coach of the Year awards. And I think Kyle Shanahan might win it this year. So he's certainly going to be on the very short list. So it's not me writing off the Cowboys, as some on this show have done many times, only to write them back in. It is me simply saying I think, Wild, that the Niners are a juggernaut. And the Cowboys, they're fortunate to only be 3.5-point underdogs. I think the line's too short.
So those are excellent graphics. I enjoyed all of them.
Thanks, buddy.
The reason I was able to accurately pick Cowboys over Bucks is because I looked coldly at the facts. And I said, one team is scoring, and you remember the other team is boring. Now, it's tricky because the 49ers aren't boring. They are also scoring, but just not as much as the Cowboys. So here are the cold, hard facts. We should get a Coors Light sponsorship. Ramsey, can you look into that, please? Since week 7, offensive points, the Cowboys score more. Touchdowns, the Cowboys. 400-yard games, Cowboys. Passing yards per game, Cowboys. And red zone touchdowns is the Cowboys. I understand that the 49ers have a great offense, but it feels like, just like we did when they were playing the Bucs, everyone is just going to forget about how dynamic the Cowboys' offense is. And I think you're staked to your position because you're more of like a feelings over facts guy. You refuse to move.
Dreams, picks,
you literally, you go on national television and you said, I had a dream about this.
May I say something? It would be one thing if my preseason Super Bowl prediction was a bad team, as opposed to the best team in the
But you're not
Raiders
moving.
So,
of course, or like the Packers, who Brew, stayed with them until they were eliminated.
Brew, however, can be swayed by facts and coaching analysis.
I can be swayed.
Yeah.
No.
That was an interesting graphic.
But those were so close. 31.2 or whatever it was to 30.3.
Well, it's going to be a close game.
I mean, they were close. Here's the problem, though, Wiles, and I'm with Nick. I got San Francisco. I've been on Dallas. I've said 2 things about them all year.
F game.
Well, the number one was that they won't reach the Super Bowl, right? I've said that even though they got talent.
F game.
Yeah. Right. Well, the reason they won't reach the Super Bowl is because I've said they are so inconsistent and just as likely to bring the F game as they are the A game, C, D game, something like that. But here's the thing, Wiles. This is a fact, though, that you're not looking at.
Go.
San Francisco is terror against the run. They give up 77 yards a game rushing. That means they make everybody look like Tampa Bay. All right. And on top of that, Dallas, I like Pollard and Zeke, but Dallas hasn't been running as a tandem. Okay. I like Pollard better, but as a tandem. But check this out. Dallas has a good run game, but the last 5 games, All 5, they've averaged under 4 yards per carry. That's the longest streak among the teams remaining with that. Look at that. They are not running the ball well lately. And so against San Francisco, they won't be able to run. So guess what? It's going to be in Dak's
And Dak's going to turn it
And Dak
over.
won't, because you're going to ask Dak to carry you. He's an elite game manager, to use Nick's term. He's going to have to turn into the guy that can put you on his back and carry you. And that's when the interceptions
I'll
come.
take it.
Listen, I don't think there's any shame in Dallas in going on the road and losing to the most talented team in the league. And that's what people have to wrap their minds around. San Francisco has, the whole Shanahan era, had a question mark at the most important position in the league. But everywhere else, they're fantastic. Their second best receiver is awesome. Their second best tackle is awesome. They have 3 great defensive linemen, 2 great linebackers, at least 2 great members of their secondary.
Right.
And because of that, I think, and because of Bruce's point, Wildes, that you're not going to be able to run the ball consistently. I do think Dak is going to be forced to throw the ball, and he can make some big plays, but I don't think the league leader in interceptions, after playing a totally clean game last week, is going to do that in back-to-back weeks against this team.
Let's talk about Josh Allen. He put a bevy of points on the scoreboard. Last week, the Bills scored 34, but his fumble and 2 interceptions led to 18 points for the Dolphins. Here's how Josh is approaching the Cincinnati game. Expecting a clean game from Josh Allen.
No.
I knew it. I
No.
knew it. I knew it.
It's okay.
Because in 14 of his 17 games this year, he had a turnover.
Yeah.
Whether it's an interception,
Throw
in
my
10 of
graphic
them,
up while
or a
Bruce's talking,
fumble.
so it illustrates it.
So, but yet in those 14 games, guess what? They're 11-3,
Exactly.
and they beat Nick's Chiefs. I'm not even gonna say what they did when they went into Arrowhead, because I've been saying it all week. I might say it. I'm tempted to say
Because it was
it.
3 months ago. Can you please remind the audience that what you always do the refrigerator in the car and everything?
I like that.
That was a 4-point game. That was a 1-score game. They won the game, but that was a back and forth.
Okay, you're gonna force me to say it.
What'd
I
they
was
do?
gonna let you slide, but now I'm gonna have to say it. They went into your house and they opened your refrigerator and raided it.
Yep.
They slept in your bed. They got up in the morning, used your toothbrush, and then they took your car and drove it without asking.
Did they
That's
bring
what
it
they
back?
did. No, they kept it.
Oh!
All right, so they also beat Baltimore with him making a turnover.
Yeah.
So look, here's the deal. You can live with 1 turnover. But you can't live with multiple turnovers, and you can't live with the big pick 6 or fumble return for a touchdown. So he's going to be scoring, and he's not going to be boring. He is going to do his thing, and he'll make a bad play here or there. But if it's 1 turnover, I can live with that, and they can still.
All right, I have, the weekend hasn't even started, and I have gotten my first victory because I have successfully, almost single-handedly, moved the Overton window on the Josh Allen discourse to, well, of course he's going to do at least one dumb thing. The question is, can he overcome it?
That's what he does.
Right, but for the guy who was supposed to be the best quarterback in the league and the league MVP, it just seems a little curious that we're now here. But I'm glad we're now all on the same page. And Vegas agrees he is the
We're
most
not on the
likely
same.
quarterback to throw an interception this weekend. That doesn't even include fumbles. And yeah, the Bills would love if he just puts the ball in jeopardy one time, because as we can show you this year, he's put the ball in jeopardy an average of 2 times per game. It's 32 picks and fumbles over the course of the season. They've played 17 games, so just under.
He didn't lose all those fumbles.
No, but that's fumble recovery is randomness and luck. That is not a skill. There's 32 times the ball has been either picked off
There's
or
an
dropped
element of
on the
that to
ground.
interceptions, too. There are a lot of passes that are thrown that could have been picked off by all quarterbacks.
Of course, and there's a lot of Josh Allen's picks. We know this from week 1. In FH or in
He
HF.
had 2
Not
more
his fault.
interceptions than Burrow.
Okay.
And Mahomes,
Yes,
if
but
I'm
he also played
correct.
1 fewer game than Mahomes, and his red zone interception numbers were 80% more than anyone else in football. But this is where I want to go, because we all agree Josh Allen's careless with the ball. Right?
He's
we
Brett
get it.
Favre. I told
Okay,
you. But
sure.
Brett
Brett
Favre
Favre without the
won a Super
MVPs or the Super Bowl appearances or any of that stuff. But yes, Brett Favre.
get it.
The bad parts
He'll
of
get
it.
it.
I want everyone to recognize, if the Bills lose this game, what a disaster it is for this franchise and for this player.
Why?
Because it would be they are going backwards. In 2020, Josh Allen almost won league MVP. They made an AFC championship game. The next year, he did not make a Pro Bowl. They lost a classic on the road in round 2. The next year is this year. He led the league in turnovers, and he would be losing at home in round 2. For a team, that's what it would be, right?
Is Patrick Mahomes going backward? And the Chiefs, are they going backwards?
I don't. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see what they do.
Because a few years ago, they
year.
won the Super Bowl.
But here's the difference.
Then they lost the Super Bowl. Then they didn't even get to the Super Bowl.
Correct.
And they lost at home.
You're absolutely right. But Mahomes' play, I think most would agree, this year went up.
Right. Some people thought last year it went down.
Yeah, of course. I agree with that entirely. But it is one thing to go backwards from the top of the mountain. It is another thing to get close to the top and be like, the next time we climb it, we're getting there. And then you only get to the first summit. And then you're like, you know what, third time's a charm. And then you don't even make it off the little lift that gets you to the beginning of the mountain. If the Bills lose this game, it is as disappointing of a season for a player and a team as we have had in recent NFL history. They were the overwhelming favorites. He was the overwhelming favorite, not just preseason, a month in, 8 weeks in. And if now, their first playoff game, they almost lose to Skylar Thompson and Josh fumbles 3 times and throws 2 picks, and their second playoff game, they lose at home, that's a big problem. It's a big, big problem for what we're supposed to believe the Bills are.
If Kansas City loses this weekend,
it's a disaster.
It's the same thing. If Cincinnati loses this weekend, they're feeling the same way. They were in the Super Bowl last year with a young quarterback.
If Kansas City loses this weekend, it's a disaster. I want to be very clear. If the Chiefs lose this weekend, they are going backwards. It is a disaster. Luckily, they have the 1 ring to look back on, but it's a disaster.
But you're talking the windows for the Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals don't close.
I'm not saying they close.
And that's the thing. That's why they always got next year. Not that you look for next year.
What I'm saying is for the Bills, this was, we mortgaged a bit of our future. We went out and got Von Miller. We've been obsessed with the Chiefs. We are trying to – this is our moment. And the entirety of the media and the gamblers agreed. If they, for the second straight year, don't make it to the second to last weekend, much less the Super Bowl, much less win it, and it's because they lose at home, that is a massive, massive disaster for them.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.